All right, so we are moving on to Got It C. So this one, it says, interpret the scatter plot of the data for 2 weeks in May and the amount of ice cream sold at the shop based on the shape of the distribution. Okay, now when we're looking at this, first of all, we need to say, does it have a positive, a negative, or a no association? Okay, so I look at this one and I can't really say that it's all going up because some of it's going down. Okay, I can't really say that it's going down because some of it's going up. So I would say that there is no association with this data, okay, because it's all just kind of randomly out there. So this would be no association. Since there's no association, we can't have a linear and we can't have a nonlinear. So it's just no association. We also can't interpret anything because there's no association. So we can't say that as the days went on, the amount sold went up. Okay, we can't make that kind of interpretation because there's no association. There's nothing that we can say about this data. We could say that there is an outlier though, because this guy right here is an outlier. He's kind of away from all of the data. So you could say that there's an outlier on day 14. They sold, looks like 13. So day 14 sold 14, and that's an outlier. Okay, but that's all we can really say about the graph on Got It C. All right, we're moving on to example 3. I know you guys are getting tired of listening, but I only have one more example to go through. So example 3. The table shows public school enrollment for 1999 to 2010. Our task, so this year, 0, was 1999, okay? And then it goes all the way up until 2010. So even though this is 11, this is year 2010. So we need to construct and interpret a scatter plot of the data. If an association exists, we have to make a conjecture about the number of students that will be enrolled in the year 2015. So our chart doesn't go up there, but if there's association, we could make a prediction about what the student enrollment in 2015 will be. So I'm not going to go through constructing the data or the scatter plot because I think we know how to graph points. You've done it in math and you've done it in science, so I think you guys are pretty good at that. I am, however, going to talk about the association. So after you graph all that data, you can see this is what the scatter plot should look like. I know you guys have also talked about in science this right here. It's called a jump line. It's when you cut out part of your graph. If you are ever going to use a jump line on your scatter plots, you need to make sure that you include that. Again, I know you've talked about that in science. So here's our scatter plot. We need to see, is there an association that exists? Well, we could see that this kind of goes up in an uphill, and an increase, right? It increases each year. So we would say it has a positive association. Since it has a positive, we also need to determine if it's linear or nonlinear. In general, all of that data falls in a straight line. Okay, yes, there's a little bit of a curve to there, but not really. It's all around one general straight line. So we would say that this is positive and linear. Okay, so we've made our association and said what exists. Now the third part of this is we need to figure out what about year 2015. So on your assignments, I'm going to expect you to use a ruler. Okay? And yes, you guys can sit down for right now. When I say go, you guys can stand up and get a ruler to do your got it on your own, but for right now, you need to stay seated. So I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to draw out a straight line that generally fits the data. Okay, so I went through most of my dots, not all of them. Then I need to go to year 2015. Remember, This 11 right here was 2010. So this would be 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. So this 16 right here is actually 2015. So in 2015, we could predict that there would be approximately, if I put a dot there and then followed over here, we could say there would be approximately 51.5 million students enrolled. Okay, so that's how we can make a conjecture. Now, maybe your elbow partner sitting right next to you had their line just slightly off, and maybe theirs only went to 51. That's fine if it's not the exact same, but if it's some ridiculous answer like 48, no, I'm not going to accept that. Okay? So you and your elbow partner might get slightly different answers, but they should be around generally the same. What you're going to do now is I want you to do on the next page, 670, I would like you to do got it, D. So right there, you're going to do got it, D, and then check with Mrs. Springer, Mrs. Munn, or the sub to get your assignment.